Hey, what's up YouTube? Down the Fix It Man. Got another quick video here for you. Got a 2006 Mazda 3 with a check engine light, and it looks like it's the Bank 1 oxygen sensor. So I've got my code reader hooked up right here, and let's come over here and get into the diagnostic menu. Let's read the codes. So we've got generic code P0131 for the O2 sensor circuit low voltage, and then we've got a P0134, just a generic code, O2 sensor circuit, no activity detected on bank 1, sensor 1. And P2251, O2 sensor negative current control circuit open, bank 1, sensor 1. And O2 sensor circuit low voltage, bank 1, sensor 1, pending. For some reason it's saying pending on that P0131 again. But we know that that's, we definitely have an issue with the O2 sensor, at least with that circuit. Now you can't always assume that the sensor is bad. You could have an issue with the wiring. I've seen before where the wiring touched the exhaust and burned and caused the check engine light to come on and say that it needed an oxygen sensor when really it was just the wiring or the harness to it. So I've already looked at this one. The wiring looks okay. So we're going to go ahead and change it out. We did get a Denso oxygen sensor. This is bank 1, sensor 1. This one's right on top of the exhaust manifold. It's pretty easy to get to. There's our part number that we've got, 234-5015. And hopefully that's the right one. Let's go take a look and get that swapped out. All right, now if you can plan ahead before doing this, grab some PB Blaster and just get right down on there. This is your oxygen sensor right here, but just get right down on there and spray that. This can is out of air, so it's kind of just leaking out of there. And I, of course, got some all over the exhaust. That's gonna smell when we start it back up, but that'll go away eventually. But we'll let that soak in for at least for a few minutes. But again, if you can plan ahead when you do this, it's a good idea to spray that maybe the day before or the night before. Maybe make breaking that loose a little bit easier. This is the connector. You can see it comes right up here. It's kind of held down by this little wire, curly Q around there that kind of maintains the distance or the space away from the exhaust manifold so it doesn't burn through. But to remove this connector, all we have to do is just push down on this tab and that'll just pop right out. And we're just gonna kind of uncoil this around that little wire thing, and then this is free. Now to get this out, I do have an oxygen sensor socket or tool here. This is the 7/8 or 22 millimeter, and that's the one I believe is the one that will fit on there. Let's take a look. Looks like it does. We don't have a whole lot of room down there, but it does work. On some vehicles you can try like a box end wrench. Sometimes you can fit the box end around this connector. I've done that before. I have a 7/8 offset wrench, and that works sometimes for oxygen sensors. But on this one, since we have that special tool, we're gonna try that. You can rent those from your local parts store, but it's pretty inexpensive. I'll get a link to some of those in the description. And this is a 3/8 drive, so I'm just gonna put a little extension on there, see if we can get down on that. Just make sure that we're solidly on that sensor, and then we'll see if it'll turn. Got it. That's wonderful. That's all it took. Once you break it loose, it should just unscrew. As I mentioned, I did take a look under the hood before ordering this part just to verify that, you know, that none of these wires were damaged or burned or anything. Now there's the old one. What we'll do is we'll just compare that to the new one, and it looks like it's identical in length, which is great. Make sure you take off this little plastic protector there. Oh, and you know what? It looks like there's already, I don't know if you can see that, but there's already anti-seize on those threads. They give you another little tube, which is nice, but it doesn't look like we'll need that since it's already on there. And just double check, make sure that the connectors are correct, and this one looks like it is. This is a 5-wire oxygen sensor, I noticed. You can see there's a gray, black, white, yellow, and blue, and that's identical to the one that we're replacing. All right, so putting the new one in is as easy as just threading it in, just similar to like threading in a spark plug. Just make sure you don't cross thread that. Just trying to not twist that wire too much. Just kind of roll with it as you thread it in. And then here, we'll do the same thing. Just kind of thread it back through that little curly Q wire. And it looks like this goes with the tab up right here. Make sure we have the right amount of slack. That looks good. There we go. Oh, I kind of had to push the button to get it to slide past and all the way in. That looks good. That's a nice solid connection. And now we're just gonna snug this up. I did look up the torque spec on this, and I did find a manual online that said 22 to 36 foot-pounds. To me, that variation just means just go by feel, make it snug. And that's what I'm gonna do. The thing is, even if you put a torque wrench on this, since it's offset, I don't necessarily know how accurate that would be. Similar feel to tightening spark plugs, you know? You can feel it. I just felt it just there, just kind of bottom out. That little crush washer. Okay, now I'm just gonna give it another little quarter turn there. See, that feels about right. And we'll take that off carefully. Really is helpful to have the right tool here. What we'll do now is let's go start it up. Let's just make sure this looks good. It's solidly held in place, and that's not putting any tension, and of course that's not going to burn on anything or rub on anything. That looks good. Kind of bent this up a little bit because this was pulling down on this. I just don't want that wire to rub. All right, now I just restarted the car, and of course our check engine light is still on. You really just need to go through the drive cycle, and that may turn off on its own. Or if you have a scan tool like this, you can reset the code or erase that code and reset this. If you don't have a scan tool, you can disconnect the negative battery terminal, and that should erase it as well. But we're gonna go ahead and hook up our tool and clear those codes, but I'm gonna turn the engine off before we do that. Just gonna turn it here to accessory, or the 2 clicks forward. Get the tool plugged back in. Let's go into diagnostics. Yep, saying it's still on. We're gonna hit erase codes. Are you sure? Yes. Turn the ignition on with engine off. It is already. Okay, codes have been cleared. Let's hit the back button out of here, and let's go up to read codes. And there's no fault codes. Okay, we're gonna exit out of there, disconnect our reader, and let's restart it. And the check engine light is off. And that's it. There it is, all installed. Looks good. Now, just a quick word on the Denso and why I did Denso, or why I went with this brand and this part number. After looking online and reading several other reviews about aftermarket oxygen sensors, of course, there's some cheaper ones. Some are only 30 or 40 bucks. And a lot of the reviews said that it was fine at first, and then the check engine light came on shortly after. And a lot of people ended up going with this. Even some of the reviews on this say, hey, I went with a different brand and it came on shortly after, or it failed. The Denso does have a very good reputation. I can't really tell if this was a Denso sensor. It does have the Mazda insignia there, or the Mazda symbol. So I'm sure that this is the original one, but it does say Japan. I just don't know if this is made by Denso and labeled for, you know, for Mazda. But at any rate, it looked identical. The wire color and everything was the same. But I'm happy with that. It looks like it's going to work out perfect for us. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up this oxygen sensor along with some of the tools used as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.